Alrighty, I'm going to answer the question for you of how to make ratatouille. Now, ratatouille, of course, is translated from French cooking into a preparation that we would in English call Mediterranean vegetable stew. Now, ratatouille has a very long history in European cooking, and it was brought over to this country and was very popular 25, 35 years ago also over here. It's still made in different ways, and I'm going to show you one of the ways that it's made, the modern version of it is being made now. Now, there is a reason why there's a modern version of this, and there's an old version. The old version was made with all of the vegetables that we will use in this preparation, which are eggplant, red pepper, yellow squash, zucchini, onions, tomatoes, and mushrooms. And sometimes green pepper was also used. That combination were cut almost in the size of golf balls, slightly smaller than that maybe, and they were cooked and cooked and cooked and cooked until it was really cooked stew, and it was kind of mushy. It was mushy, excuse me. That's traditionally how it was made, and it was served hot and cold. Hot was the most popular way, but it was also served cold. The way I'm going to show you about making ratatouille today is what we call the a la minute, or quote, the last minute a la minute version of it, whereby the vegetables are not cooked to death and they're able to retain a little bit of texture and a little bit of color. And the size of the way we cut the vegetables will be much smaller than traditional ratatouille used to be made. So I'm going to begin by showing you how to cut the vegetables. And we're going to start with the eggplant. So come on down here, Richard. I'm going to cut the tip of the eggplant off. And I'm not going to use the whole eggplant for this. But what we're going to do here is we're going to make some boxes, if you will, out of the veg. Now the way we're going to do that, and the most important thing to remember about cutting all your veg for this, is that they need to be cut the same size. So when you present the finished ratatouille, and you can make this ahead of time, by the way, no problem, and reheat it, all of the vegetables will be uniformly cut. In this particular case, we're going to call this small to medium dice, okay? And that's all the eggplant I'm going to use right there, too. So let's get our eggplant there. And we're going to do the same thing to an onion. Just cutting this onion the same way it's been cut in how to dice in the how to dice an onion video that we have for you in one of the skills DVDs, the first or second DVD, I think. Cut the onion that way so it's still intact, but it's been cut through and through two different ways. Okay, now there's our diced onion, and that's enough for this also. And we're going to do some zucchini. Probably about that much will probably do it. And again, we're going to box it off just a little bit so that we can cut nice squares like we have the rest of the vegetables cut. Again, you may not be cutting it as fast as me, but it's certainly easy to cut it as accurately as me by cutting it slowly. All right, there's your zucchini. And here comes the yellow squash. I thought it was important for you to see me. I have the saute pans for all these vegetables here heating up. I just want to turn them down so they don't get too hot. And I want to remind you, as we're going along on the cutting process here, that these vegetables will all be sauteed quickly, individually quickly. They're always sauteed individually because each vegetable cooks and its cooking requirements have a slightly different amount of time, okay? So now we're going to box off the yellow squash also a little bit. Okay, there's your yellow squash. Now the red pepper. This, by the way, is a very special vegetarian style preparation also. There are no meat products involved in this here. We're going to flatten out the red pepper with our hand a little bit. You see? I'm going to smash it down so it's easy to dice. Again, I would refer to this as a small to medium dice. Okay, there you go. Now, finally, the tomato. You gotta have yourself a sharp knife to cut tomato like this, you know. All right. I'm gonna go with another half of a tomato here. Okay, there we go. Now, what I'm going to do is we're going to individually saute each one of these in a pan with a little bit of olive oil. Ratatouille vegetables are always sauteed in olive oil. We're going to saute them in olive oil. We're going to throw a pinch of garlic in at the very final part of the sauteing process of each individual vegetable, and some fresh herbs, and a little bit of salt, pepper, and sugar with some sherry. And we're going to deglaze the pans with some sherry. Now we're going to chop up the fresh herbs, and I have some fresh basil. And we have some tarragon. And we have some oregano. Now those vegetable herbs do not have to be individually picked. These stems are very tender, and we're going to chop this fine enough so that it will not show up in the dish as having any tough stems in it, see? So there's your combination of oregano, tarragon, and basil. And now for the sauteing process. This is going to be rather quick, and I'm going to do it in all 5 of these pans here almost at the same time. First, a little bit of olive oil. We'll do 3 at a time. How's that? Let's do the red pepper. Let's do the zucchini. And let's do the eggplant. Now the eggplant is going to require a little bit more oil than the other veg because it tends to absorb more, okay? Now I'm going to turn these fires up. The pans are hot, but now we're going to get the saute process going.